My name is Rex, and I'm here to talk about basic things you need to consider if you want to set up a large format printing business or a banner printing business in Nigeria. So I'll be looking at this on the premise of the experience I've gathered over the years in developing such businesses. I've successfully run 6 branches of large format printing businesses in different states in Nigeria. We have branches in Abuja, we have in Onitsha, we have 2 of them in Anambra State, we have in Enugu State, we have in Port Harcourt, and then we have in Nasarawa. Now, looking at this subject, a lot of people have asked me questions like, what do I need to have in place to be able to set up a business like this? And that is what has prompted me to be able to make this video. So I took out time to itemize most of these items and things you need to consider when you want to set up such a business. And I tried as much as possible to itemize at least the basic ones. There might be some things, 1 or 2 little things that may not be on this list, but all the major things that you require are all here. And I itemized them into 20 items. And I'm looking at this from the point of view for startups that you want to start, and you want to start with basically everything that you might require that will make you have a good startup. Because it's good if you want to start a business, you get everything in place and make sure you're not lacking anything infrastructure wise, just to make sure that from that startup you're able to build good confidence with our customers. It matters a lot. First impression matters. First impression matters a lot. Now let's go straight to the items that you would want to consider and you would not want to miss if you want to set up a model that looks like ours, like we do in Rex Graphics. Now, the first thing we consider is the space. The space where you're going to do this business. You could either rent, or if it's your property, depending on which one works for you. Either one can work, whether renting or if it's your property. The space needs to be sizable. If it's too small, it becomes a problem. So let me say an average space size of, say, 2-bedroom flat should be able to do something for you, or 3-bedroom flat space. Not in a flat form where you have rooms and all that. No, it's really not going to make sense if you have it demarcated into rooms and all that. No, it has to be either a big hall space, or maybe it's partitioned into 2, or at most maybe 3, but it shouldn't just be in flat form. No, let it be something that is spacious so that you can be able to make out a sizable reception, a sizable machine room for operations. If you now have extra space for store, or you can use store, part of your machine room as a store, depending on what the space provides. But that would actually require you to look into what you have or what is available, depending on the area you're going into. And make sure that whatever it is, it has to be sited in a good location that is accessible, where people can reach you, where customers can easily come to, and where passers-by can easily identify that this is what kind of business that is going on here. So those things matters. So that first one, I will call it rather consideration of the location or rent. Then the second consideration you have to make, I want to go straight to power, because power is actually very key in setting up this kind of business. In our own case, we usually take note of the fact that you can hardly have uninterrupted power supply almost in any part of Nigeria. There would definitely be interruptions here and there depending on which one, and you don't need to lack power in such an office. You need to have power within all your working hours, as in uninterrupted. That's exactly what you require, uninterrupted power. So for you to be able to do that, point 2 here I'm talking about is you need to have an inverter system. Inverter system that can help you sustain power. When you lose grid power, inverter system can help you sustain power for a while before you either turn on your generator or if you have a solar system or any other source of power. But the inverter will hold the power, enable you to have power uninterrupted until you change to another source of power. So you actually require an inverter system in such a business. Number 3, you need a small generator. I know why I'm taking these things item by item. I just mentioned small generator. Small generator in our own way is generator in the range of, let's say, from 3 to 5 kVA generator that will be able to power light loads, loads that if you put them together they may not be more than 3 kVA. And we are talking about loads like lighting points, system units, cameras, and even your large format machines, but not power demanding machines like the DI or maybe cutting machine or other heavy power demanding machines, or even the air conditioners. They are not considered to be powered by this small generator. So this small generator allows you to still do your job in the case where you want to save on fuel, because the small generators will take you longer hours with little cost of fuel compared to big generator. So that's why you have to consider the small generator. Then point number 4 is the big generator. The big generator is something from the range of 15 kVA to about 30 kVA, depending on the capacity of what you're running in terms of the general load. So with the big generator, it's usually diesel powered. So which means if it's a diesel generator, most times because of the cost of diesel, you wouldn't want to use that all the time when you don't have grid power. So if you are making use of big generators, sometimes you need to power some heavy loads, for instance the air conditioners or the DI machine, and then other heavy loads like cutting machines and all that. And you might want to do that not all the time, depending on how the work flows, but the big generator is also essential in this business. That's number 5. Right now it's number 5. Number 5, I'm talking about the large format machine, the number 1, okay, or let me say the first large format machine, because here we're looking at 2 large format machines. The first large format machine is the one that prints big jobs, big banners, that enables you to print big jobs, big banners, mostly with bigger graphics. It's faster and it enables you to be able to do some jobs without being interrupted. And then that's the number 5. Number 6 is the small large format machine, which is supposed to help you print smaller jobs, tiny jobs. For example, stickers. Those are small, tiny, low point size text. Maybe something as tiny as maybe 3 points, 4 points. That's really small. So those tiny ones, you still require another large format machine to be able to print that to precision and be able to give you something that will be good. So that's for the second large format machine. Number 7 is the DI machine. The DI printer prints papers, prints posters, business cards, documents, maybe brochures and all that. That's what the DI machine does. You might start up with one DI machine, but at least one with a reasonable speed. DI machine is very essential as well. Number 8, we're talking of desktop systems. But this time, the first set of desktop systems I'll be looking at is the, let me call it, high configuration desktop systems. The high configuration desktop systems, these are the systems that will be used by the graphics designers, and the configuration is really high, not like the normal systems that will be used by other office operations like reception and others. So for that, you might require up to 4 of those systems for a start to be able to take care of 4 graphics designers. So with that, you can be assured that you have reasonably fast systems that the graphics designers could use. That's actually what we recommend. Then we also recommend number 9 this time. I'll be recommending another set of 4 systems of lower configurations. These systems can be used for printing server 1, printing server 2, then receptionist 1 and receptionist 2. So with this, you can take care of basic office operations, takes care of your softwares, office internal softwares for taking orders and taking customer requests. That's for item number 9. Then item number 10, we're talking of general renovations. The general renovations means most times if you're starting up a business like this, you would likely require to do some renovations, some changes in terms of the design of the place, how you want to get it done. For instance, in most of my outlets, we use some laminated boards to skirt the walls halfway from the roof down to the floor. We use those laminated boards to beautify the place and also to make it easy to maintain and make it easy to clean, so that when you move around the place and you touch the walls, you will not be able to touch the actual walls. And then on the actual walls, sometimes we do wallpapers just to make it look good and then also easy to maintain. Some of these wallpapers, you can clean them when they are dusty or when they are a little bit dirty. So that takes care of that. And not just that, depending on the state of the apartment you're moving into, there are so many other things you have to consider in terms of general renovations. Item number 11, I want to talk about the furniture proper. The chairs, the tables, you have to consider exactly what kind of chairs you'll be needing, especially in the reception. If you have a taste for a good reception, you have to consider the kind of chairs that you make available for customers to sit on while waiting for their jobs. That would be different from the set of chairs the graphics designers would sit, or the receptionists, or other aspects of the people working in the office or customers. So you have to, consider all that while looking at the general furniture, as we discussed. Then number 12, you have to consider electrical fittings and wiring. The electrical fittings right now is talking about all the wires that leads to where and where. You have to be looking at the capacity of the sockets in terms of the loads you are applying at this time. There's a special way we wire the offices whenever we are starting up a new office. Mostly it doesn't go with the conventional way of running wiring. No, we don't, because of the problem we have with power supply. If we run it the conventional way we run wirings in the apartment normally, that means if you're running under inverter, you expect the inverter to power all loads. If you're running under grid power, which is your PHCN, you expect it to power all loads. So which means you would now need your inverter to have the full capacity of the entire loads you have there, which wouldn't work. What we do essentially is to separate our loads and categorize the loads in such a way that there are some loads that are powered only by generators. The electrical connections takes care of that in such a way that no matter how you operate your changeover systems or your circuit breakers, those loads will never be powered by the loads that are meant to be powered by big generator or grid will not be powered by small generators, because that's where the problem really lies. If you subject your small generator to power big loads like air conditioners or big DI machines and all that, that small generator most likely will run into problems in a short while. So that's a very serious considerations for us. So we take care of all that under the electrical wirings and fittings. So the next number we have is number 13, which is networking and internet. We have to network the systems to enable us move our jobs. If you're transferring jobs from the graphics designer system to the printing room, you just do that seamlessly because of the network. We have to create a LAN network. We have to provide for routers and network cables so that we'll be able to do a very reliable network system. We do not rely completely on the wireless network, because most times when there are network errors, you might end up restarting systems and restarting routers. Network errors, you hardly have that when you base your network on the LAN system, the cable network system. And for us, it's been quite reliable going that route. Number 14 is the air conditioners, the cooling system that you'll be adopting. Most times I recommend you have a very good, robust cooling system, because sometimes you might have more customers than you may have expected. So you should anticipate that you're going to be having enough customers. Sometimes they come together all at once. You have everywhere filled up with customers. If you don't have a good cooling system, then you might have problems taking care of customers under that condition. So it's advisable that you make provision for proper cooling systems, air conditioners that will take care of the space you have and make the place cool as much as possible. Item number 15, entertainment. Depending on your setup, we usually have entertainment system to enable customers to be able to wait for their jobs. So while customers are waiting, we usually have TV, maybe connected to DSTV, to enable customers to watch maybe football, sports, games, drama, depending, news and all that. So you have to make provision for that, because if there is nothing for entertainment, most times customers will be impatient. And while printing is going on, it's a slow process. It takes time to get printings to come out of the machine. It's not just a 1 second thing. Most times it takes minutes, hours, and sometimes even days to get some volumes, heavy jobs to be printed. So it's advisable that if it is jobs that customers might need to wait for maybe a couple of hours to get theirs ready, there's need for entertainment within the reception while they wait for their jobs. Then item number 16, we're talking of CCTV. Yes, there's absolute need for CCTV in the office. Depending on how you want to run your CCTV, but there is absolute need, because for instance, in the machine room where you have jobs being printed, to be able to go through activities that have gone on in those areas, especially maybe with jobs that have been printed and all that, you will definitely need CCTV cameras to support that operation. Item 17, we're talking about plumbing. Plumbing is very, very essential if you're setting up a good printing company, because you know that most times customers will have to wait, and if you have many customers, all the jobs will not be printed at the same time. It becomes a issue of first turn, second, and turn by turn. So because customers will have to wait, sometimes they might need a convenience. So you will have to make good provision for good convenience. Most times I advise you just buy a new WC, then you start maintaining afresh, than maybe taking the one you inherited in an old apartment. Most times it's not usually looking too good, and this is where you expect your customers to go when they are pressed or they need to use the toilet. Item number 17, that's the one we just finished now. Then number 18, we are talking about the consumables for startup. In a banner printing company like ours, we have consumables like the flex banners that comes in rolls. You have the SAV stickers, you have the papers, the cards, you have the inks, the toners, and all that. So all these items is what makes up the consumables that you need to buy from startup. And these are the consumables that you use to print these jobs and deliver them. So you need to have a reasonable quantity of these materials, and then they are the materials that you're going to be replacing as you're printing. You'll be replacing them as you're printing, you'll be replacing them. So the cycle of these materials is what actually tells how you're doing in the business, whether you're doing good or you're still trying to be good or trying to improve. So you need to have some materials on ground. Then item number 19, we're talking of billboards and adverts. The office, you need to have like a billboard in front of your office that people were going to look at. Passers-by will see it and say, wow, this is a banner printing company. I advise you make your billboard with banner instead of plastic, because banner represents what you print. So it's better to do it with banner so that you can tell people that this is what we do, and we advise you to do the same. So you'll be advertising first your own business by printing a banner for your business. Do it in form of a billboard. Make it to be as good as possible, because people are going to see your own example to know if you're actually preaching the right message. So you must have your own banner, depending on other forms of advert that you might choose to adopt. But generally, you must need to advertise your business so that people can see what you're doing. Item number 20, you need to actually consider some registrations, licensing, business licensing, and all that. Depending on the location you go to, business permits, and some other requirements that you needed to make as regards the government of the area where you are moving into. You have to take care of all that. And then when you're done with that, at least you know you have a legal stay in whatever location you find yourself. And you have to be maintaining these fees. They are usually renewed annually. So when you take care of these fees, next year you have to do the same thing, and it keeps going like that. So I've just taken I've just drawn your attention to 20 points you need not to miss if you want to set up a banner printing company in Nigeria. I would also love you to know that something I didn't mention here is your operation strategy. You have to, after putting all these in place, you need to get a good operation strategy, which involves how you run the office. Because after putting all these things in place, you have all the machines, you have the best apartment, you have the best of machines, you have the best entertainment, everything, you have it. If you do not have the personnel, the right people with the right orientation, with the right knowledge to run the business, I'm sorry, you must have been making a very, 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 very big mistake. So do not lose out on that. Make the right choice, even after putting all the infrastructure in place, get the right persons, and have the right strategy. And you find out that printing business is a very lucrative business in Nigeria. Thank you very much for your time, and do have a wonderful day. Bye.